So last time we looked at shit solos in 6 songs. So this time we're going to be looking at 6 solos in shit songs. Bet none of you guys saw that coming, eh? I do admit that the previous list was pretty tricky to come up with, whereas this one was incredibly easy, to be honest. Just due to the fact that the main songwriter in so many metal and rock bands is the guitarist, and generally guitarists are terrible songwriters. Not that I need to tell you guys, but as always, please do tell me your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of my picks? Anyway, enough yapping, let's get into it. Yes, Nuno Bettencourt is one of the greatest guitarists of all time, but I 100% guarantee that if it was not for him, they would have fucking bombed and just been written off as a joke band. Yes, the riffs and the solos are all fucking amazing. Obviously, that goes without saying, it's Nuno fucking Bettencourt, but holy shit, this band has some of the most diabolical, truly awful song titles and lyrics that I have ever seen. Get the Funk Out, Little Jack Horny, Susie Wants Her All Day Sucker, Little Girls. Ugh. I think what it is the mix of there being like songs about kids and childhood, but also like songs about like sexual stuff. It's a bit weird. Get the Funk Out is like the quintessential example. Like most of their music around this time, it's definitely rooted in hair metal, but is also kind of infused with this really embarrassing early 90s funk that's like really rigid and white, complete with absolutely horrendous ad-libs. Not bad for a pissy little white man. But all that aside, obviously the solo to this song, Get the Funk Out, is absolutely legendary. Like, explodes right out the gate with those furious hard rock licks. And then descends into those insane tapped arpeggios. Oh, it's just pure orgasmic bliss. The solo just has so much energy and never lets up, like right from the get-go. Like not a single note is wasted. So, I genuinely have no idea if this is going to be a hot take or not, but God, I always thought this song is such a bloody miserable dirge to sit through. You know when you're like in a bar on holiday, or not, I don't know, and the cover band in the corner starts playing this absolute like funeral march, and you're just like, oh, you're having a good time and everything just comes crashing down around you. And you feel like your sinuses just start to play up. Put your drink down and you just grab your jacket like, sorry guys, I gotta go. I can't do this. Bye. But yeah, not really much to say about this one. Just, you know, simple. Just life-ending levels of boredom. With some amazing solos thrown in. Yeah, that's it. The famous solo, of course, is like the big, long, epic one at the end. But for me, you know, the real gem of this song is the shorter solo that comes before, like after the first chorus or something. Oh, it's so fucking beautiful. Honestly, I think it might be one of my favorite licks of all time. The note choices are just so fucking gorgeous and beautiful. And it just really elevates the song. And to be honest, you know, there's not really any point in anyone playing more notes ever again, because no one will ever beat those notes in that solo. So like, just give up. Now, I'm by no means a big Falling in Reverse fan, but that being said, I do actually really dig the sort of stuff they're playing these days. Their super experimental combination of like modern metalcore and rap and other such genres. It's pretty unique, and I love their like completely ridiculous, over-the-top, like super cinematic music videos. Yeah, like Ronnie is a massive cringe lord, but hey, their music's pretty fun and I respect the vision. Having said that though, I really cannot say the same for their earlier like Warped Tour kind of stuff. I think by far the biggest thing that turned me off about these sort of bands is just the way the singers sung, with, you know, with that really sort of like funny American like over pronunciation of everything. Don't waste your time. The one redeeming factor about the band though was their secret weapon of having shred maestro extraordinaire Jackie Vincent on guitar. The song Born to Lead off the album Fashionably Late has become a modern shred classic due to its absolutely monstrous solo. Holy shit. The solo also features shred icon Rusty Cooley. So if you've never heard this before, now you have a kind of idea of what to expect. Like, these guys do not hold back on this solo. Like, it is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like, you have to check this out. Yeah, the solo is like completely fucking overkill and has nothing to do with the rest of the song. But like, on this occasion, I just give it a pass because it's just so fucking sick. And it's just really entertaining to hear like this sort of level of virtuosic guitar playing in music like this, which like never has this type of guitar playing. Oh. So in last video, I asked you guys for some suggestions on this here topic, and after extensively scouring the comments for literally minutes, I can conclude that Floods by Pantera was, without a doubt, the people's choice. And honestly, yeah, I kind of agree actually. I'll be real, I'm not particularly a fan of like later Pantera where they sort of dropped the fun and went a bit like dark and edgy. That's not what I listen to Pantera for, and I think Floods is a great example of this. The majority of the song is just Phil mumbling a load of miserable God knows what over like a really eerie acoustic guitar riff. If anything, the song is just like, it's just really boring. And like many other songs on this list that you're gonna see, you can just get the feeling that this song was just like written around the idea of having just like a big centerpiece guitar solo, and they just sort of like shoved a load of stuff around it to like flesh it out into a song. The solo itself though, oh, masterpiece, a absolute crash course in just emotive solo guitar playing. I know that most people fixate on the, you know, the iconic sus2 Police-like arpeggios. But for me personally, the real highlight of this solo is the section after that follows, like the second half. Like the licks in that section are so fucking cool and so unique. I don't know how he did it, but like the way Dime managed to incorporate these like goofy, bluesy country guitar licks into like his, you know, otherwise serious metal guitar playing, it's just absolutely genius. But for me, the ultimate thing that set Dime apart from his peers was the fact that he had the balls, the cojones, to play a lot of his solos just like completely unaccompanied or with very, very minimal rhythm guitar playing behind. If you're a guitar player, then you know how fucking scary and difficult that is just to lay your isolated guitar solo playing out there with like very minimal or no accompaniment. Mad respect. So for my fellow cringe millennials who grew up listening to metal in the 2000s, you will no doubt remember the explosive overnight success of Trivium when they released the Ascendancy album. It was an instant modern day classic, fusing together like 2000s metalcore, mellow death, thrash into, you know, a surprisingly accessible collection of front to back bangers. And then they released the Crusade. Nah, even though everyone hates on this album for some reason, like, it's personally my favorite Trivium album, and dare I say it, one of the best examples ever of melodic thrash. Yeah, it's corny as all hell, and the band wear their influences on their sleeve a little too hard. But whatever, like, it's super fun. Nearly every song is insanely catchy and memorable. However, there's one monumental dud that sticks out on this album like a obese appendage, and that is, of course, Anthem, We Are the Fire. The song was, how do you say it, like a blatant attempt at writing, well, Anthem, complete with impeccably silly, fist-pumping, crowd-chanting action. Hey. However, those Trivium boys sure can play the guitar, and kind of, well, somewhat annoyingly, the song has probably some of the best lead guitar playing the band has ever recorded. Absolute stonker! Cacophony was the project of mastermind shred duo Marty Friedman and Jason Becker, which resulted in some of the most just absolutely absurd, mind-boggling guitar playing ever recorded. Even though the guitar acrobatics were obviously the main focus of the band, admirably, I suppose, the band still tried to, have vocals and stuff and make the project like a proper band, bless them. While I do appreciate the effort, the vocals on these two albums are just like, just so fucking ropey. It makes, honestly, like listening to some of these songs like a bit of a struggle. The best example is probably Desert Island, which I guess is the closest that the band ever came to having some sort of like a radio-ish, commercial-ish kind of song. Kinda. Honestly, if there's one thing to take away from this video, is to never let shred guitarists write songs. Ever. But obviously, as expected, the solo section is just like out of this world. Starting with these absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, clean arpeggios played by Jason, while Marty does one of his, tasty, exotic guitar melodies over the top. It then explodes into a furious back and forth between the two, like trading off insane solos interspersed with cool harmony breaks. So yeah, if you don't really like songs and only into like, guitar brain music, then honestly, it doesn't really get much better than Cacophony. Right, now obviously I can't even begin to describe how legendary the band Dire Straits is. Like, fucking hell. I am but a single-celled amoeba scum in a puddle compared to Dire Straits. And while I really love the guitar playing in this band, obviously you can't fault Mark Knopfler's playing, the vocal style and vocal delivery in this band, it's just not for me. I have never been a fan. And that is especially true of our next pick, Sultans of Swing. So like I pointed out earlier, this song is just like another prime example of a song that was sort of like, it sounds like it was shoehorned in around a bunch of guitar solos, if that makes sense. The vocals on Dire Straits songs are really dreary at the best of times, but oh my god, I don't know what happened on this song. Mark Knopfler literally sounds like he downed an entire bottle of like sedative before going into the studio to record this one. Guitar Joe knows all the chords. Couple that with the incredibly monotone vocal melodies and the monotonous derivative chord progression, and you get one hell of a skippable first half of a song. Now I get that the song is meant to be like a story, like in a book, but honestly the way the vocals are delivered, it just makes it way less engaging and makes me care way less about the story and what's being told. Surely I can't be alone on this. But obviously the real meat of the song lies in the guitar playing and the very cool little sort of like licks and call and responses, like sort of interplaying between the vocals and the guitar. Even to this day, I think Mark's style and tone is still just really unique. And even after so many years of, me playing this song occasionally, I still get a ton of joy from playing it. It's so good. I think what also helps the playing in this song remain so timeless is the fact that he's like, he's following all the chord changes really well and hitting like literally all of the yummy intervals instead of just resorting to like, recycled Boomer Ben's 101 licks like, so many of his peers did back then. Hands down, one of the sexiest solos ever. When I was a starry-eyed youth discovering all of these classic bands for the first time that we now take for granted, I used to be insanely into like hair metal and 80s stuff. Even though you can guarantee, of course, that there's always going to be like killer, amazing guitar playing in this sort of music, there's just like so many tropes that I just can't deal with anymore. The huge gated snare, that kind of like driving rock rhythm riffing style. Most of the soloing from this period just recycling copycat Eddie Van Halen licks. Whatever the hell this thing is. And I think if I was to pick just like one ultimate example that embodies everything I really can't stand about hair metal these days, it would be the classic In My Dreams by cking. Right from the get-go, with those horrendous layered chorus-drenched vocals, I can already tell that my lovely beans on toast from earlier is going to make a very swift re-emergence. But I gotta give this song credit. You know, it's pretty impressive that in its only like 4-minute runtime, it somehow manages to pack in like literally every single like cliche hair metal trope. And it even has the audacity to have like a really long extended fade out outro. Oh. But as with most songs in this genre, the solo section is the real highlight, a treat if you will. This solo is really so well put together, like I can't understate that. Like it flows amazingly and just fits the song perfectly. So if you're into this sort of guitar playing and want to improve your phrasing, your chops, your solo writing, then yeah, I think this solo is probably like the one you want to study. Bro's got some chops too, let me tell you that. Those bloody huge E minor arpeggio stretches on the top string. You know, that's not easy, even by today's standards. Probably the most legendary death metal solo of all time from the fathers of modern tech death themselves. The band's second album, Epitaph, has become a certified classic after years of steadily growing online over the past decade or so, thanks to a new wave of younger metal fans discovering this music and really vibing with it. However, the first album, Onset of Putrefaction, has kind of been forgotten about. You don't really hear people talk about it, you don't really see the songs being covered as much as the ones from Epitaph. The most well-known iconic moment on this album, of course, is the legendary solo to Fermented Offal Discharge. An equally beautiful and dark neoclassical shredfest that does the impossible and somehow, ironically, is as emotive as any David Gilmour solo I've ever heard. I don't know how that crazy German What's-It pulled it off, but this solo is legitimate proof that, to have an emotional, feelsy solo, you don't have to just resort to the blues licks, you can play a lot of notes and still be really emotive. But all that being said, the song as a whole is kind of very boring tech-ish death by numbers, and certainly has a chronic case of skip ahead until the soloitis. I don't think anyone will be surprised that there's going to be a Megadeth song in the all-powerful number 10 spot. The ultimate skip to the guitar solo band that just embodies the male guitar brain archetype. And no song represents that better than the classic Hangar 18, of course. Well, this sentence is really long, I need my notes to read from. Rust in Peace is my personal favourite metal album of all time, and in my opinion it's an absolutely flawless masterpiece, but the relentlessly objective music critic in me knows that obviously when faced with a wider audience outside of my niche, this song is just completely absurd and stupid. Even I've got to admit that this song is pretty much just like a Frankenstein's monster of weird ideas stitched together in a really ham-fisted way. I mean, come on, this song really should have been an instrumental. The verses literally have 3 lines of lyrics each. I definitely get the impression that this song was thrown together late in the recording sessions, probably. But honestly, who fucking cares? Pretty much every other song on this list, who's listening to Megadeth for the vocals and exemplary world-class songwriting? Nah. People just want to hear ripping guitar solos, and boy do they rip. Both Marty and Dave's solos on this song are some of the best they ever recorded, and they just perfectly captured that kind of mysterious cosmic vibe of the song. I have no fucking idea how Marty comes up with sort of weird, wacky, crazy lines like he did in this song, but boy, he was sure cooking on this one. Truly the ultimate shredfest song, Hangar 18 will never be beaten.